ask...
I thought I told him to spray it with water to retain moisture before applying the film. You can't treat a glaze lily like a cactus.
I'll go talk to him.
Hey, Tighnari!
Oh, it's you.
We didn't have anything to do, and this place looked pretty lively, so we decided to stop by.
Well, Port Ormos is currently organizing a flower exhibition featuring flowers and plants from all over Teyvat. The exhibition includes flowers from every corner of the world, each with their own unique properties and needs. Even so, an expert is still required to develop tailored transportation and care plans for each type of flower.
Oh, and that expert is you, right?
Not this time, no.
Mr. Tighnari! Sanjay! He confused the poisonous bulbs with garlic shoots, and he ate them!
Apologies, Traveler, Paimon. Looks like I've got something to take care of.
Tighnari's busy no matter where he is, huh? Yeah, seems like it. Hey, don't look at Paimon like that! Well, looks like Tighnari might be busy for a while. Wow, look at these flowers! They smell so...
Huh?
Paimon's... fine. She's just kind of...
Rainbow roses, glaze lilies, and Cecilia's?
It's... But,
A moment of your time, you two? If it's not too much trouble, perhaps you could try this incense.
incense? Oh, that was fast!
Think nothing of it. From your seen as we're both travelers from abroad, it's only right that we help each other out should the occasion arise.
Oh, so you're here for the flower exhibition too?
I suppose that's accurate.
Paimon is Paimon!
The traveler, right? I've heard a lot about you from the steambird.
What happened back there?
Have you ever heard of hay fever? To put it simply, when inhaled, certain pollens can trigger abnormal physical reactions.
But...
Well, we're all different, but there's no need to worry. Pollen allergies can be effectively mitigated with the use of medication.
Oh, well, that's good.
Traveler, Paimon, there you are. I left in such a hurry, Emily?
It was nothing, really. I'm more curious as to why you thought the Traveler and Paimon were in danger.
Remember the first time we met? You fainted after inhaling Spirit Borneal.
The Spirit Borneal didn't affect Paimon at all, and now she's the one suffering, isn't it?
It's not really something you can make sense out of, Paimon.
Exactly.
Whoa. Good thing Paimon isn't allergic to anything delicious.
In a manner of speaking.
In addition to medicine, Emily is also very knowledgeable about botany.
And that's where my expertise ends, I'm afraid.
A flower expert?
Wrong again, I'm afraid.
Well, I did come for the exhibition, but only to inquire about the Auguste, right?
Oh, Paimon was sure she got it right this time.
It's a kind of flower that was once popular in Fontaine.
Auguste, huh?
In an ancient language, the word is said to mean sacred or noble. Ah, that reminds me. Perfumania was an event that occurred in Fontaine nearly 20 years ago. It all started when several merchants released their own lines of high-end, expensive perfumes, marketing them as must-have luxury products, the very symbol of elegance itself. No one anticipated the absolute frenzy this would create on the market, causing the price of perfumes to skyrocket. The demand was twofold. The value of these products became so inflated, regular bottles of perfume were even going for hundreds of thousands of mora. But at the end of the day, perfume is just perfume. Luckily, the Palais Mermonia recognized the danger and intervened before the craze could truly spread. In the end, only a few wealthy families were affected when the bubble popped.
What does all this have to do with that Auguste you mentioned earlier?
Well, during the craze, the most popular perfume was none other than Auguste.
10 million?
After the mania ended, most perfumes returned to a normal price. Its namesake, the flower used to create it, went extinct. Indeed, when the bubble popped, all the flower beds used for its cultivation were destroyed in a fire.
But didn't you say you came to the exhibition to look for it?
Ah, yes.
Traveler, we should help Emily look for it.
I have to agree.
Even if I can locate the flower, I'm afraid you'll be disappointed, Paimon. Divine, noble, one of a kind. All beautiful sentiments, to be sure. But when it comes to perfume, I want people to forget the price and the prestige.
Wow.
Of course, there's also a more practical reason. Every so often, someone will claim to have recreated the unique scent of Auguste, and the rumor mill will start comparing the counterfeits to my own work.
Okay, that's...
Ever since that rumor started, 3 new perfumes claiming to be made from the Auguste flower have appeared on the market. If I can dispel the fanaticism surrounding Auguste, even just by proving the rumor to be false, then I'll be free from all the stories and added meaning.
That makes sense.
Oh, I would of course be...
Well, you said it yourself.
Based on the information I have so far, it's unclear if the rumor is true. Mr. Edgar also thinks it's too early to say.
I was just about to pay him a visit at the hotel.
Edgar?
The person you've been trying to guess this whole time. Back when he was still working in Fontaine, Auguste was his creation.
I should also mention...
So this guy was a famous perfumer in Fontaine, but...
It's a long story. If you're interested, we can talk more about it when we see him. He should be staying near the hotel.
Oh, look at all the flowers!
Apparently, the exhibitor paid a large sum to rent out the hotel and surrounding buildings.
Yeah, what if guests come early? They won't have anywhere to stay. Also, renting out this big of a hotel, how are they gonna make that more back?
It's been so long, I almost didn't recognize you, Edgar.
Well, you and your brother haven't changed a bit.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Hold on. We have guests.
It's nice to see you again, Master.
Emily? Is that you? I've heard you've become quite the famous perfumer in Fontaine.
Oh, well, it's all thanks to your mentorship.
Hardly. I've taught many students here in Sumeru over the years, but I've yet to see one turn out quite as accomplished as you. And who are these two?
They're my new friends, the Traveler and Paimon.
Emily's friends.
And these 2 gentlemen? Are they friends of yours, Master?
I'm Ood, and this here is my younger brother, Blaze.
Yes.
Merchant brother?
You must be here to look for the Auguste flower then.
Well, what respectable perfume merchant hasn't heard of a goose?
I'm guessing you're here for the same reason, Emily. I commissioned a few eremites to do some scouting for me. That being said, there are people in Port Ormos who claim to have smelled a unique fragrance on the street. Some of them were merchants who lived in Fontaine 20 years ago. A one-of-a-kind, divine, and noble scent.
Maybe someone around here just happens to have a bottle of Auguste from back then.
No, I don't think so. I doubt that's the case. Auguste is even more prone to that kind of shit. Although, could there be a flower out there with a similar fragrance?
Impossible.
If a goose were that easy to replicate, it would never have sold for such a high price all those years ago.
Technically speaking,
Well, let's table that question for now.
No. By the time they realized they had smelled something, the scent was already gone. Compared to things we see and hear, smells can be much easier to overlook.
Wait, are you saying...
Just thinking out loud.
We don't have much to go off of right now, but we can't rule out that possibility. You all traveled so far to be here. Why don't you rest in the hotel for a bit?
Ooh, you've got the keys to the room?
My apologies. I managed to tidy up one of the rooms for these two at the last minute.
Oh, and we just showed up out of the blue.
don't worry, Master. I can sleep on the boat tonight. Or I could even camp in the wild. Even better. Although, would it be possible for me to leave some of my luggage here?
Well...
Of course.
All right, then. I'll prepare some refreshments and join you in a bit. I'm sorry I couldn't offer you a robe.
It's all right, Master.
I'll be sure to make it up to you with a nice cup of tea.
Whoa, the smell of flowers is so strong. Didn't Edgar say he tidied up around here? Hyman took a peek through the window earlier and his house was packed with flowers.
No, We work closely with the essential oils of various plants. But to maintain a sharp sense of smell, most perfumers prefer to keep their homes free of strong odors.
Oh, guess there's just too much to store for the exhibition then.
Oh, this room seems to be a connected suite. Blaze? Ahem.
Yeah.
All right, then. Where can we find your luggage?
It's still at the port. In addition to some daily necessities, there's also a case of amber wine that I brought back. Could I trouble you to bring that back as well? Is that so? Mr. Ood, Mr. Blaze.
Hey! What are you doing?
That's Master's voice.
Edgar!
Master!
Hey, Edgar! Hey, Edgar?
No, don't shake him. He's injured. Just leave him to me. You two can... Oh, thank... Skin is flushed. Pupils are dilated.
That strange smell around here. Is it coming from this bottle? Oh, really? You think...
I checked. Oh, but that's him. Oh, the culprit, I mean. It's not like the culprit could have just disappeared into thin air.
Do you think whoever did this was hiding in the flowers before they attacked Edgar? Well, we looked all over, but...
The most important thing we can do now is focus our efforts on treating Master.
So, how's he doing?
When I administered emergency treatment, I discovered a residue in his nose and mouth. He's still unconscious, and inducing vomiting could obstruct his airways. Ah, yes. But first, I do believe there are two people who could shed some light on the situation. Mr. Sylvain, Mr. Lucien.
Wait, you know...
Hey! Were you talking to us, mademoiselle? I'm afraid we've never heard of those names before.
Before arriving in Sumeru, I asked a friend from the Special Patrol to look into the creators of Auguste. There were 4 people in total. A researcher from Sumeru responsible for cultivating the Auguste flower, and 2 merchant brothers responsible for promoting the product on the market. The 2 brothers capitalized on the mythos surrounding Auguste. In the end, they were sent to the Fortress of Meripede for falsifying their accounts and destabilizing the market. Every time your brother called you Blaze, it took you several seconds to respond.
Ah, Miss Emily. You have a bright future ahead of you. What?
Amber wine is a perfume I created several years ago, until recently.
Emily, you little...
Don't misunderstand, Mr. Sylvain. I don't bring this up to criticize you, but Master's life is in danger. If Master's attack had something to do with Auguste, I would imagine the 2 of you might also be in danger. So I'd like to trouble you for some information, if I may. Tell me about Kyria.
Fine.
Sylvain!
Lucien, if this will help us find Kyria, then it will be all worth it. You were right, Miss Emily. There were 4. Sometime down the road, the Marechaussee Phantom came knocking, saddled us with a list of accusations, and started looking into our book.
Sounds like he's still upset about that. Wait, then how did Edgar end up in Sumeru?
Master was convicted as an accomplice, so he only had to serve a few years. He decided to move to Sumeru so that he could put those events behind him. Still, Master was depressed for a long time after that. That's how I met him. But we can talk about that some other time. I want to hear more about this researcher, Vijava.
Like us, Vijava was also staring down an investigation from the Marechaussee Phantom. But before the Phantom showed up at her door, she set all the flower beds on fire, along with much of the mora we managed to earn.
But destroying all that evidence...
It didn't matter at that point.
What?
Sounds like you did an investigation of your own. Why even ask us if you knew all of this already?
The name wasn't mentioned in any of the files I reviewed either. But you 2 seem quite familiar with him.
Kyria was Vijava's younger brother. He was just a clueless... Vijava kept him close most of the time. The 3 of us were probably the only ones who even knew she had a brother. After our operation was compromised, he disappeared.
So, you think Kyria took something with him back then? Something that allowed him to reproduce the Auguste flower?
Vijava doted on the kid like you wouldn't believe. If she left something behind before she died, believe me, Kyria's the one that has it.
And judging by the liquid in that bottle, the Auguste flower wasn't the only thing he reproduced. He managed to replicate the perfume itself.
So the liquid Edgar was forced to ingest really was Auguste.
Poison! If Auguste could be considered a poison, we wouldn't have even sold half a bottle back then. He probably thought we had something to do with his sister's death. We're not looking for Kyria because we have it out for him. We just wanted to see how he was doing. And, if possible, work together to bring back Auguste. We only went to prison for a bit of fraud and as long as we keep things honest this time around.
So that's why you never mentioned Kyria during your interrogation?
Yes, exactly.
Anyway, that's all we know.
Well, at least we're able to say for certain that the substance Edgar ingested was in fact Auguste.
Well, glad to hear it. Lucien, let's head back to the room.
Yes.
You think so too? But based on Sylvain's tone of voice just now, I suspect further questioning will only result in more made-up answers.
The way you exposed them like that? Just based on a hunch? Oh, right.
Oh, yes. That's because most of the patients I encounter are already dead.
So you're,
Close. In fact, with just a small alteration to the formula, the same tincture used as the base of perfume can also be made into a cleaning agent. Basically, there are two sides to forensics. Those who collect evidence to expose the truth, and those who clean up the smells, bloodstains, and other substances left behind at the scene. I've learned a lot in my line of work, and I've witnessed a lot of death. But this time, we may still save the patient. Actually, Traveler, could I trouble you to report back to Tainari and the officers at Port Ormos? I'll stay here and continue to look after Master looks a lot older than when I last saw him.
Whoa, why the rush? Did something happen?
What? Edgar was attacked? He's the most famous perfumer in the region. Someone who's helped countless people around Port Ormos.
Sheriff, have you received any reports of a suspicious individual fleeing through the bazaar?
No. I'll start gathering my forces.
what about you, Tainari?
I'm sure the sheriff can handle things over at the scene. Then she was far too modest. Not to mention the fact that Mr. Edgar's condition is related to perfume. As for me, I'll head to the academia and see what I can learn about Vijava and Kirya.
Oh, that's right.
From Emily's letter, certainly, but that was the first time I'd heard of it. I didn't have time to look into it earlier, but now it seems like Vijava's past could be critical to getting to the bottom of what happened to Mr. Edgar. I have friends in Sumeru City that can help me investigate. I'll leave you and Emily to watch over things here in Port Ormos.
Ad asked. Thank you for
Well, but things weren't looking good with Emily's master yesterday.
no longer in critical condition, my chemical analysis of a goose also went smoothly. I was
Elemental energy?
hard to say. I had to use one of the newest tests developed in recent years to even detect the traces present in the sample. Unless you were abnormally sensitive to elemental energy, I doubt it would have any effect, even if you use the product every day for 10 years. As for whether Master's condition was caused by the elemental energy present in the sample or some other component of the perfume,
Oh, that reminds Paimon. Did Tainari come and find you?
I received a message from him last night, but I haven't heard anything since.
Oh, Paimon thought he might have stopped by to see you first. Excuse me? Is Miss Emily here? Oh, perfect! Familiar faces!
Colin. Oh, of course. Tainari's apprentice. And please, no need for formalities.
Oh, did Tainari send you here, Yep. Master and the others went through decades worth of records last night and still haven't had a chance to rest. Anyway, based on what they've reviewed so far, they believe there's no indication that a researcher by the name of Vijava ever passed through the academia. Master considered that possibility as well, but the name wasn't the only dead end. How is that possible?
It's starting to seem very likely.
Hey! Lucian!
It's Sylvain! Wait, you don't think Curio came back, do you?
That seems impossible. If someone came in or out of the hotel just now... It's locked?
Lucian! Lucian! Come on! Emily! Emily! My brother. He's gonna be okay, right?
I'm sorry, Mr.
No, no, that's not...
Traveler, Kale, Mr. Sylvain has gone through a huge shock. He needs some space to calm down.
Of course. Leave it to...
Thank you both. Mr. Sylvain, let's get you up. We'll take things from here. Just focus on getting some rest. Here, this way.
Poor guy. He's like a shell of his former self. He may have made some bad decisions in life, but...
Good person or bad, the death of a loved one is equally painful. All the moments he shared with his brother, every hardship and triumph they endured together.
If Curio really was behind this, then what exactly did he do to Lucian?
Lucian can no longer speak. Traveler, I've got things covered here at the scene.
Who would have thought? Miss Emily, I heard you're an experienced forensic doctor.
Oh, I'm not actually a forensic doctor. I did take a look, though. Judging by the temperature and rigidity of the body, it appears the time of death was sometime last night.
Then, would you mind helping us investigate?
Of course, I appreciate your trust.
We'll help too.
To tell you the truth, the exhibition has left us quite short-handed.
Pupils are dilated, skin is...
And the windows are shut tight too. Seems like the only way to get in would have been through Sylvain's room. Well, looks like we've investigated as...
So, did you find anything?
Paimon can show you. Here, it'd be something like this.
But entering through the room next door without alerting Sylvain...
No, his reaction to the loss of his brother seemed genuine, and he doesn't have a motive.
Then what could have happened last night?
I agree.
Mr. Sylvain, I need you to tell me everything you and your brother did since yesterday afternoon.
After Kyria attacked Edgar, we returned to our rooms and decided to lock all the doors leading to the hallway. The only door we kept unlocked was the one connecting our room. But I didn't hear any sort of commotion last night. Not a single noise!
So, no movement from the room next door, no signs of a struggle at the scene, and no external injury on Lucien's body.
I did notice a few things about the body. Lucien's pupils were dilated, and his skin was flushed. There weren't any traces of liquid in his mouth or nose, so it's unlikely he was forced to ingest anything.
A goose? No, that's not possible. Inhaling a goose won't kill you. No. Emily, you ran your tests, didn't you?
No, I didn't find any common toxins.
That may be true for most people.
Master!
Edgar?
Sylvain, no matter how hard you may try to hide it,
Edgar!
even if we could keep it a secret for another 10 or 20... No. He... That's Vijava's real name. Yelena wasn't a scholar from Sumeru. She was an exiled Fatus from Snezhnaya.
A Fatus?
The Fatui.
Ah, so you've already detected it.
Oh,
The August Flower was created with the mutative and distorting power of a delusion.
The Fatui.
Born of a delusion, August contained distorted elemental energy.
that's enough. At first, Yelena wanted to keep refining the perfume and the flower. It didn't have any effect on ordinary people anyway.
So you decided poisoning people was worth the risk?
Listen, unless you were particularly sensitive to elemental energy.
It may be true there are no records of Auguste poisoning in Fontaine, but even if no one was acutely poisoned, willfully bringing a product to market despite explicit knowledge of its harmful effects is still a serious crime. That explains why you were so intent on keeping Yelena and Kyria's involvement a secret all this time. The Fatui delude.
Ha! All these years without any sign of Kyria, and Auguste was harmless before.
So there's bad blood between you.
What about Yelena's death?
I'll admit, we thought about it at one point. We took care to disguise the product circulating on the market. But if the Mara Chaussee Phantom decided to look into the flower beds, it would have been before we could even put our plan in motion, Yelena beat us to it.
But if her goal was to destroy evidence, there would have been no reason to do that to herself. Yeah, she could have just burned the flower beds and fled with her brother.
I thought about it for a long time. Everything she did. One of the reasons they defected from the Fatui was the deterioration of Yelena's body, due to her excessive use of a delusion. After arriving in Fontaine, Yelena continued using the delusion to cultivate the Auguste flower, weakening her body even further.
So she couldn't flee with her brother because she was afraid of holding him back.
If her true identity was exposed, the Auguste flower and Yelena's own corroded body both bore the mark of a delusion. So, in the end,
So the wealth you earned from Auguste, it wasn't destroyed in the fire.
most likely. That's why Lucien and I were searching for Kyria, to take back Armora and the Auguste flower.
What?
I don't think he knew his sister was nearing death. Elena always wore heavy makeup around him to conceal her deteriorating.
Then all we'll need to do is tell Kiria. I'm not so sure. Even if he knew the truth, he'd still find someone to blame. It's hard to pull yourself out of that kind of hatred.
Very true.
Edgar!
Think about it, Sylvain. If we hadn't been so blinded by greed, so insistent on increasing the scale of the flower cultivation, if we hadn't invited the Marechaussee Phantom to our doorstep by breaking the law at every turn.
We were just trying to earn a bit of more. Lucien's crying.
The only
3 people. Well, we can only wait until the Academia sends someone to deal with it.
The hotel could suffice, although with Sylvain's mental state and my physical one,
Mr. Edgar, are you saying...
if Sylvain is to stand trial, then I deserve the same fate. I'd just like to take care of a few things before I go. As for Sylvain, I'm sure he also has some goodbyes of his own. Would you be willing to grant that request?
Well, all right. The man we grew to know in Sumeru proved himself to be a good person.
You have my thanks, Sheriff.
happened tonight? Oh,
Yeah, all we know is that he uses a goose to poison people. But we still have no idea how to catch him in the act. If he targets Sylvain or Edgar again, we might not be able to stop him.
That may be true. If we take advantage of this situation.
Master, no.
So, if Kiria learns we're being taken away tomorrow, his last chance to enact his revenge. In other words...
Capture?
Afraid? I'm spending the rest of my life in prison anyway.
I'll admit, it could work. Then I'll station some of my men around the hotel.
I still have some reservation.
I'll also keep...
Although I think Sylvain and myself should remain alone in our respective rooms. If Kiria noticed another person in the room, he might decide to turn back.
You mean if he doesn't see a way to get his hands on the two of you, he might get so desperate that he'll just start using a goose on everybody?
If that were to happen, everyone's standing guard.
That's why everyone else needs to keep to the shadows.
You're still recovering. You need to rest.
All right, we can figure out a plan to keep watch later.
Have you heard? Mr. Edgar's been detained.
What? He's the...
He taught my child how to make perfume.
He hasn't been convicted yet.
Oh, everyone on the street is talking about the rumor. Let's head back to the hotel and take a break. Emily, Chef Xian wants to talk to you and the Traveler about our plans for the night watch.
Thank you, Kale. But first, here. I prepared a kind of herbal tea that helps calm the spirit. Why don't...
Oh, that's very kind of you.
Oh, it's not good to be so tense, especially when we've got a long night ahead of us.
What?
You seem very preoccupied with Kiria's revenge.
Oh, Hey, Emily, Kale. No, not at all. This will be easier to talk through with you here. I've just been thinking. If Kiria has the capacity to commit murder while remaining completely undetected, there was just a single door separating them. When I accompanied Sylvain to his room after Lucien died and saw how distraught he was, maybe Kiria did that on purpose. Maybe he wanted Sylvain to experience the pain of losing a loved one before he completed his ultimate revenge. So did he attack Edgar as a warning then?
Based on what we've heard about Kiria, That may very well be the case.
Losing his sister all those years ago, whenever I get to thinking like that, I just can't help but wonder. I'm sorry.
There's nothing wrong with the way you're feeling. In all my years of cleaning up crime scenes, I've witnessed countless families mourn their loved ones. Some of them even try to stop me. Surround yourself with fragrance for too long, and your sense of smell will become dull. So while you hold on to that sense of empathy, do Sylvain and Lucien really deserve to die? Answering those questions requires a lot of time and evidence. I've witnessed a lot of deaths in Fontaine. But generally speaking, death will just leave most questions unanswered.
Once you're consumed by hatred, it will become next to impossible to think about things that way.
You're right, but that also makes us perfectly positioned to stand on the outside. I understand Kiria's decision.
Emily, Traveler. Huh? Edgar.
Oh, it's you two! Didn't you head back to your room to rest, Edgar? Is it really okay for you to be out and about like this?
Besides, I don't have much time left in Sumeru. So I'd like to take care of my plants while I still can.
We could do that for you, Master.
No need. I would imagine Sheriff Sham is here for a more important...
The Night Watch!
That's right. I've stationed some of my men around the surrounding area. Exactly. After some discussion, we concluded that Sylvain has the highest risk of being attacked next, and Emily's expertise is sure to come in handy in a pinch.
Sounds perfectly reasonable.
My men and I will be stationed nearby to monitor the situation.
I'll head into the mountains to keep an eye on everyone coming in and out of the area.
Shouldn't you be standing guard in the room next door?
Not a peep. Has Kiria given up on his revenge? Still nothing unusual. Paimon took a peek into the room next door and Sylvain's already sleeping.
Perhaps Kiria's true motive was simply forcing Sylvain to confess his crimes. No, that can't be right. There must be something we're missing.
Maybe we just need to calm down a little. You're right. Maybe we can look for a different distraction then, like... Oh, there's a glaze lily here. Paimon didn't notice it earlier.
Flowers, glaze lilies, incense... Oh no! Sylvain's room! Quick!
Wait, what?
Hey, did you hear? Someone was attacked again last night.
It was the older of the merchant brothers, right?
Yeah, I think his name was Sylvain. Poor guy.
First it was Mr. Edgar, then that merchant named Lucy.
Listen up, everyone. This is an active crime scene.
It's been 3 days and they haven't even caught a glimpse of the guy. What is going on?
Do you think it could be the work of an... I mean, how do you get away with something like that with so many people watching?
Keep it moving, everyone. No lawyer.
I suppose...
You don't know that. Kiria already attacked you once, and you survived.
You were the only reason I managed to survive, Emily.
Even if I wasn't there, Tainari was also in the vicinity.
Is that so? I have exceptional students, caring friends, and the respect of my peers. But Kiria has nothing. It really makes you wonder.
If you really want an answer, I suppose you'll have to ask Kiria himself. once we finally catch him.
Well, Emily, there's something else I'd like to ask of you. But so many flowers were transported here for the show, some of them thousands of miles away from their homeland. Whether Kyria gets to me first, or I'm sent back to Fontaine to stand trial, I know it's a lot to ask.
Of course.
Really, now
Sheriff Sham still has some questions for me.
Go ahead. Best not to keep him waiting.
I'm sorry, Master.
Emily still isn't back. Yeah,
Traveler, I had my men start spreading the information you requested. The crowd, after listening to Emily's plan, I started getting the materials together and arranging personnel. To be honest, I'm still not sure how the crime was committed that night.
the key clue was right in front of us the entire time. Let's go. We'll show you where the culprit hid a goose. I only have a basic idea of what happened, to be honest.
So, you're saying I'm the only one who's completely in the dark.
This is it!
The glazed lily, huh? I think I've heard of it before. It's a flower from Liyue, right?
Well, did you know it only blooms at night?
Emily, you're back!
Exactly.
A flower that...
Exactly. That's why Kyria chose the glaze lily as his mechanism.
If applied to the outside... There's a sticky substance on the edge of the flower. If you stick the petals together with slime condensate...
That's right. That way, the agouste would remain trapped inside during the daytime, unable to seep between the petals and evaporate into the air. However, the diluted slime condensate wouldn't be viscous enough to prevent the petals of the glaze lily from opening at night.
And Kyria could execute his revenge without having to step foot inside the room during the night.
By the next morning, the sample of agouste would have nearly fully evaporated.
Wait a second. And how did Edgar even survive ingesting a whole bottle of the stuff?
That's because agouste is just as dangerous now as it was all those years ago.
You mean... That can't be right.
I wouldn't use the word allergic necessarily. You can think of it this way.
In Fontaine... All kinds of essential oils commonly found in alchemical... The incense I smelled earlier seemed... In Sumeru, scholars use spirit borneal to aid meditation and stimulate their connection to the Dendro archive.
Alchemically produced essential oils, the primordial seawater that caused unrest in Fontaine not too long ago.
That stuff gave us a lot of trouble when we first came to Sumeru. Yes.
In Sumeru, it's not uncommon to use incense indoors, so its presence wouldn't arouse suspicion.
Flowers were pretty important to this plan, huh?
Actually, it's not a coincidence at all.
No wonder he was willing to pay a small fortune to rent out the hotel. He probably used the mora Yelena left him, don't you think? But in the end, it was just a tool for his revenge.
There's a saying among forensic doctors in Fontaine, but up until this point, we haven't been able to detect any trace of Kyria's activities. But because he's been disguised as someone else this entire...
Creating such an intricate mechanism out of a glaze lily, it all points to one person. Kyria and Edgar.
But... Kyria was only in his teens back then. Edgar's lived here for so many years.
Bad news, Sheriff! Mr. Edgar was attacked!
What?
A dark shadow-like figure just ran out of his room. But before we could even react, the figure up and disappeared like some sort of ghost or something. Do you think Kyria kidnapped him?
I need you to think very carefully about this.
I mean...
It would seem Master decided to tap into an ill-advised source of power.
What? But that's so dangerous with the condition he's in.
But why?
No. If his aim was to target everyone who had a hand in Yelena's death...
If he left Sylvain alive yesterday, not out of a desire to see him suffer, but to confirm the truth about why Yelena chose to die,
then...
The shadow-like figure ran in the direction of the elevator, and my partner immediately chased after them.
We should hurry before they're forced to confront each other.
Where in the world did he go? Let's ask the merchants nearby.
Ghost!
It's all right. Please, calm down and take a deep breath. Can you tell us what you saw?
I saw a black... How could...
This is terrifying.
Don't come any closer!
It's all right. I can detect a faint whiff of the scent from here. It's this way. Please, follow me. The scent is getting stronger. This must be the place.
Oh! O's! Are you all right? Were you...
Let me take a look.
The air definitely feels heavy. It smells nice, but for some reason, it's hard to breathe.
Everything looks all right. It was probably just the stress of the chase, combined with the impact of the environment.
I can't rest. Mr. Edgar is still in there. He's a good man.
O's, you need to calm down and listen to me.
But how is that Mr. Edgar is 70-something? Changing...
That's precisely why he had to resort to extraordinary measures. Kyria used a delusion to bring back the Auguste flower.
No.
And what if the impersonation started before he ever set foot in Sumeru? I've yet to confirm it, but I suspect Kyria killed the real Edgar Fontaine not long after his release from prison. While Edgar was incarcerated, Kyria started making preparations to replace him, including forcefully aging his body. Studying perfumery, the new Edgar then decided to relocate to Sumeru, seemingly out of an innocuous desire to let go of the past. And Sumeru fit the bill to a T. As the years went by, he removed his disguise little by little and continued to refine his skill.
That explains why Sylvain said he barely recognized Edgar back at the... He aged himself decades beyond his years just so he could accomplish his revenge.
I need to find Mr. Edgar. He's not that.
What you really need is to get out of here and rest.
No,
Wait! This environment is likely being influenced by the delusion. Any discomfort, no matter how slight, should not be treated lightly. I know how to relieve your symptoms, Mr. Ooze. I'm sure Kiria...
Kale's right. The Traveler and I will take things from here. This leads me to believe those blessed with a vision or capable of wielding elemental power are more resistant to the effects of abnormal elemental energy. Actually, now that I think about it, I hate to trouble you, but we need people to survey the perimeter.
Thanks. Hear that? We're heading out.
Traveler, Emily, for someone whose only purpose in life is revenge, there's no telling what they'll do when there's no reason to move forward.
Don't worry. This isn't the end. We're not going to let a goose kill anyone else. Monsters? Perhaps they were attracted here by the increased level of elemental energy.
Let's spark things up a little.
Cool it! Water jet!
Hip, hop. I've never seen these seeds before. They must also have been created with the power of a delusion. It seems to be avoiding us, and there's no other way forward. Perhaps we could try luring it to the edge of the cliff.
Whoa, look at all the Auguste flowers! There are so many of them. I can't believe a single person did all this.
I fear that statement is truer than you know, Paimon.
But why would Kiria need this many Auguste flowers? He only needed a few bottles of Auguste to carry out his plan, right?
Perhaps hatred wasn't the only emotion. Not long ago, he told me he didn't want all the flowers transported to Sumeru to wither away in a foreign land. But Kiria betrayed Snezhnaya, abandoned Fontaine, and lived his entire life in Sumeru under the guise of someone else. For someone with nowhere to call home, perhaps dying among a bed of Auguste flowers just like his sister is the best homecoming he could ask for. Yeah. Neutralize! No escape! Oh? Russian floral!
Go! Don't get frostbite.
Go, go, Baron Buddy!
Yeah! Yeah!
that destroys seeds. Huh, quite the ecological marvel. Let's head back to the place where the seeds first appeared. The scent of flowers is getting stronger. We're almost at the end. The scent of flowers is getting...
Did they catch up that fast? No. My strength is just waning. But it doesn't matter. This is far enough.
This is a garden of Auguste flowers. But it's not mine. It's the one that was set on fire all the... Yelena? Yelena! You tried to hide it from me, but the reason why you continued to use the delusion, the reason why you set your garden on fire, I shouldn't have listened to you that day. I shouldn't have taken the Mora and ran. But by the time I realized something wasn't right, there was nothing left. I know I'm almost 20 years too late. I should have died with you that day! Yelena? Yelena! No! Don't leave me! Yelena!
I'm alive. No,
That was an illusion, likely brought about by the residual toxin in your body coupled with the pollen in the air, neither of which are fatal.
No. The amount of Auguste I drank. A fake.
We started making the preparations last night with one goal in mind, to create a perfect accord. The accord is the basis of perfume making,
the product in its most primitive form. Ambergris mixed with cedar wood, rounded out with a base note of agar wood.
This is the scent of leather?
Exactly. We're unable to extract essential oils from leather, but by combining other raw materials, we can recreate its essence. That is the purpose of an accord.
Does that mean you can recreate any scent in the whole world?
I'm afraid not. Certain fragrances in this world are simply one of a kind. That quality is what draws people in and fuels their obsessions.
If I wear a goose to the ball, I'll also be one of a kind. Our competitor already got their hands on it.
It doesn't matter how much it costs. I have to buy something better.
This fragrance will be one of a kind, no more. Myths can be deconstructed, miracles can be recreated. All All it takes is skill, experience, limitless exploration, and a little patience. The only thing left is determining where the real Auguste is hidden. Pretending to be attacked means he's not free to move around. Auguste must be hidden within reach.
Paimon took a peek through the window earlier and his house was packed with flowers.
The curator commissioned a flower pot from Kasharawar, capable of retaining heat and moisture.
Perfumes are as beautiful as flowers, and equally as delicate. When stored, you must take care to control the temperature and keep them away from direct sunlight. Did you get all that, Emily?
I got it.
Did you hear? Someone was attacked again last night.
So, Sylvain is dead. Is that right?
Yes, Master.
So, you switched the bottles of Auguste, and then lied.
Convincing you that your revenge had been completed?
Impossible. If Auguste was so easy to replicate, Yelena wouldn't have.
It was a combination of rainbow roses, glaze lilies, and Cecilia. But recently, we found a way for them to work together. Auguste was created over 10 years ago. Perfumery techniques are advancing day by day. The mythos surrounding Auguste may have been untouchable almost 20 years ago.
The past.
You've been working as a perfumer for all these years. You should have always known that it is possible to make an accord, even if only in theory. But the meaning you assigned to Auguste became so inflated, you allowed yourself to get lost in it. You believed in its divinity and grandeur. Your obsession with Auguste is also what allowed us to predict how you intended your plan to end.
We just didn't expect it to happen so fast.
Well, you hit the nail on the head now. Then, so, since you've been preparing your accord since last night, that means the news of Sylvain's death. The crowd gathered outside the hotel this morning.
Yes.
Who knows? Maybe I would have just offed myself then and there.
I know if you had things your way, you would carry the truth of Edgar's demise and the secrets of this garden to the grave, but all the crimes he concealed back then will be exposed in a court of law for everyone to see, and all his secrets will be revealed.
Is that so?
Whoa, he accepted that kind of fast.
I don't feel the need to justify my actions. I did what I set out to do.
Careful, everyone.
Stick close.
Looks like I'm almost out of time.
Of course, Master.
The combination you used to make your accord.
The scent of Auguste is complex and varied. So, as I was analyzing the sample yesterday, I got to thinking.
You're saying Yelena designed Auguste to have the scent of multiple flowers.
Rainbow roses, glaze lilies, Cecilias. But if you cultivate a new flower species that intrinsically carries the unique features of those three scents, you can bypass that issue entirely.
Rainbow roses, glaze lilies, and Cecilia. Yelena.
Did you know? Miss Emily's releasing a new perfume! Right, I heard about that. I think it's called Yelena.
Seems like everyone in Fontaine is talking about the new perfume you released.
I was hoping to release it without such a fuss, but I just hope it won't become the source of some new myth. I did, although I made a few modifications to the formula to make the scent more pleasant and long-lasting. Also, I was hoping you could try out the fragrance before I officially release it and tell me your thoughts.
Of course!
It's alright. Besides, when it comes to perfume, commenting on whether it smells good is the most straightforward assessment you can ask for.
Right! Do those flowers have some special meaning?
If I had to guess, I'd say it probably has something to do with the language of flowers.
The language of flowers? Oh,
What each flower is said to represent varies by person and across different moments in history. After returning to Fontaine, I did some research. Perhaps that's the legacy Yelena always intended.
Do you think Kiria knew about that?
I paid him a visit before his trial and explained what I found. Who knows? Yelena is gone. Even if that is what she was trying to say, I would never be able to forget avenging her death. Kiria cultivated his revenge like a flower. In any case, he did want me to pass along his thing. Thank you for saving my life. Love and hatred are a privilege of the living. When someone dies, their thoughts, feelings, and intentions die with them. But even if it's only a conjecture, I would like to believe my own interpretation. The meaning we give to flowers, the symbolism we assign to our perfume, and yet at the very outset, they're born from the simplest and most beautiful desires we hold in our heart.